Ads here, ads there, ads everywhere, on websites, on Google searches, you name it. It gets very annoying very fast. If you're seeing ads, that means you do not have control of your domain name server. Instead, it's being controlled by your internet service provider, most likely. By using AdGuard with OpenSense, which is my home network firewall, I'll show you the ability to have DNS queries across your entire home network be controlled by you. This also includes preventing those annoying ads. So let's go ahead and get into the rest of this video. In this section, we're going to set up AdGuard Home within Proxmox. It's going to be an LXC machine running on a Dockerized container. And once we're finished, we'll be able to complete that setup via the AdGuard Home initial startup page. Within Proxmox, I'll click the Create CT button. I'll enter a password that I can use to log into this machine once my setup is complete. For the host name, I'm just going to put AdGuard Home, and I'll click Next. For the template, I'm going to use Debian 13. And for the disk space and CPU, I'm just going to use the default values. However, for the memory, I'll use 1 gigabyte at 1024. For the IP address, I'm using a VLAN, so I'm going to put it on VLAN 10. And I'm going to use DHCP to get a dynamic IP address. I'll click Next. And now I'll click Start After Created and click Finish. Now it's going to begin creating my machine. And now we can see the task is complete. So I'll close this window. My machine is now running, so I'll click on it and I'll select Console. I'm going to log into the machine. I'll use IPA to check my dynamic IP address, which I can see is 10.0.10.18. And now I'll do an app update. Next, I'm going to install Docker. The installation of Docker is complete. The last thing I'll install is my favorite command line text editor of Vim. Next, I'm going to create 2 local directories on my host machine that I'll use for mounting into AdGuard Homes. One will be a work directory, one will be a configuration directory. Again, these will mount inside the Docker container for AdGuard Home. If I go to the AdGuard Home official repository in Docker, I can see the command line snippet that I can utilize in order to create a local script and quickly get AdGuard Home up and running. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. You can just hover over it and click copy. Next, I'll open up Vim and create a Docker run file for my AdGuard Home. I'll change the mount points to those 2 directories that I created that will align with directories within AdGuard Home. I will go ahead and save this file. And I'm going to make it an executable file. Let's go ahead and run it. And it's going to pull down that AdGuard Home container. I see there is an error that indicates a binding issue with port 68. That's used for DHCP. I'm not going to use AdGuard Home to hand out IP addresses. That's actually going to be managed and has been managed by my OpenSense machine. So what I can do is go back into my configuration and just take out that port mapping altogether. I'll reopen my configuration file, and it looks like it is port 68. That's for DHCP, which I don't need. So I'm going to remove that line, save the file, run it again, no errors. And now I'm accessing AdGuard Home by the IP address in port 3000. I'll complete the setup by entering in a username and password that I'll want to use for the admin interface. I'll click Next. And that's pretty much it. I can open up the dashboard and log in with that user and password that I created and click sign in. And that's it with the setup for AdGuard Home. Now we're going to move to OpenSense. In this section, I'm going to show you in OpenSense how to configure AdGuard to be the DNS server, as well as how to make it the global DNS for your home network. This means you can take advantage not only of DNS queries, but also ad blocking across all of your devices. Within OpenSense, I'll go to System, Settings, and General. I'll come down to the DNS server and I'll put in my current AdGuard DNS IP address. Next, what I'm going to do is toggle two checkboxes. I will enable the do not use the local DNS server as a name server for this system. And then I'll unselect allow DNS server list to be overridden by DHCP on the WAN. This one's important because it makes sure that your ISP does not override your DNS queries that will be going to AdGuard. Then you can click Save. Next, I'll go to Services, Unbound DNS, and then Query Forwarding. I'll remove these previous records that I have from another demo that I did. I'll select the Use System Name Servers, and notice my AdGuard IP is listed. This just makes sure that all DNS queries will go to AdGuard. Now in AdGuard, I'll just do an immediate refresh, and I can see I have one DNS query already. Now that we've configured AdGuard Home to be our global DNS, we're going to test to verify that DNS queries are coming through, as well as ads should be blocked on a website. Next, what I'll do is I'll come back to my machine on Proxmox and I'll do an NS lookup for Google. Notice the server goes through my OpenSense machine at 10.0.10.1, and then the query is forwarded to AdGuard. And we do a refresh and we can see we have all these DNS queries now. The client is still OpenSense 10.0.10.1. Then I'll do an NS lookup for wired.com, for example. Let's do another refresh, and we can see we have records for wired.com. Next, I'm going to try ad blocking on a website. So I'm going to go to Lifehacker and notice where it says advertisement. Normally this would display an ad, but it's actually being blocked. And we can verify that by going to AdGuard and look at these blocked records. So this now means that any client machine on my home network will be able to take advantage of ad blocking. And with that, our AdGuard setup is complete. It is the global DNS across our home network, and we are taking advantage of ad blocking. I hope this video was helpful for anyone on their home lab journey. Please leave a like and subscribe and a message in the comments. Let me know what other videos you would like to see. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video.